Hi, it's afternoon here where I am. I don't know what it is where you are. Uh, this is our second episode of what we have been talking about. It's Hope for an Orphan. Indeed, there's an orphan out there that needs to be given some hope, something to hold on to. And so last week, it's a week already. So last week I started by sharing my life testimony as an orphan. Wow, it just took me way back to the things that we get to experience in life, and as time goes on, you even forget all the sufferings, the pain, the hate that obviously some people unfortunately had caused you to experience. So yeah, it was quite an emotional time for me to share my personal life with regards being an orphan. But I thank God that I did share, and I'm going to also share a little bit more so that someone may be encouraged out there. So yes, we are talking about hope for an orphan. So last week I did give a definition of what an orphan is, and we looked into the original Greek word for orphan, which basically means, or before I talk about the meaning, the Greek word for orphan is orphanos, which means without a father, without a guide, and without a teacher. So before I fast forward to my personal testimony with regards to being an orphan, I just want to talk about these three things. A guide, so there's what? There's a guide, there's a teacher, and a father. So it's a known fact that not everyone out there has a father. But does everyone have a guide in their lives? Does everyone has a teacher? So to begin with, who is a guide? So a guide is someone that gives direction. So it could be direction to a non-destination or to a destination that you, the one who's being guided, you have no idea of. Like there are people that are called tour guides. So when you are with the tour guide, obviously the tour guide needs to have knowledge about the place that you are touring. Yeah, so here's an orphan that needs a guide. So obviously the orphan doesn't have a father, doesn't have a mother, but who has to be a guide to this orphan? There are people that are left with or under the care of their uncles, their aunties, their elder brothers, sisters, or maybe just a close relative, or maybe a family friend. But there are others who are left with no one. It's just them against the world. And now, so here's an orphan that doesn't even have anyone. But because we're in this world where we need to be guided, because each and every day comes with its new challenges, and we get to experience. We have a new experience to a life that we don't know what it will bring. So, as an orphan, obviously, you just lost your father, your parents, and then maybe like in my case, like I was coming from a life of comfort, to a life where I didn't know where my next meal was going to come from, to a life where I didn't know where I was going to find shelter. Uh, thank God I didn't have an experience of sleeping in drainages like I know some orphans are experiencing right now. But so you are out there, you are all lost, you are emotionally broken, and then you don't have anyone to guide you through life. So it really becomes very difficult for an orphan to get to have focus in their life, to get to have a vision, to get to know what next are they supposed to do, what is it that they need to do, where else to go. There's absolutely no one. So the importance of having a guide in life is because when you have a guide, you have someone who will tell you to say, well, I may not be an orphan like you, but I believe I can show you the right direction to go about with life. Don't take this path, because this path might just lead you to distraction. But unfortunately, we're living in a world where when someone becomes an orphan, others tend even to make to mock them. Just because someone is an orphan, they begin to mock them, which is actually a sad thing. So now we get to see orphans just moving around the streets, begging. They don't know what life has for them, and they are hopeless. They have no direction. It's just taking a day as it comes. So life can really be very, very, looking for a word. Okay, quite challenging when you don't have a guide. Coming to the next one, teacher. So who is a teacher? A teacher is an educator. A teacher is someone that has knowledge or information about something, and they get to share that either wisdom, that knowledge or understanding of things, and they walk through, they walk with you through the journey of an education. So now, obviously, you are out there as an orphan and you are new to this life experience as an orphan. So you're all lost. So now you're wondering, what is it like? What is involved in me being an orphan? So unfortunately for some orphans out there, they just become their own teacher. So obviously there's no one to give them direction, there's no one to teach them about life, to say, okay, even without a father, even without a mother, you still can become something or someone in life. There's just no one. So education is found everywhere. So there's actually good education and bad education. So an orphan out there, they are exposed to any of the two. Sadly, we're living in a world where most orphans are exposed to the bad education, and this because maybe they find a certain group of people that are not exposed to the right things in life, and it's just all about how about you do this, or this is the only thing that can help you to get over that emotional frustration that you're experiencing. Or others would come over to say, no, even me, I'm an orphan. My family doesn't care about what I do. No one cares. So what I do is I'm doing this and this and this and this. And because, well, just you think they have survived, they are okay, and you also join into doing just about anything to survive. So that also becomes a sad thing when an orphan doesn't have a teacher. And so now, according to the definition, it says an orphan is someone without a guide, an orphan is someone without a teacher, and also without a father. But this is just me thinking. So if an orphan is someone who has no guide, maybe it's possible to have a father, but you lack a guide and a teacher, so you can become an orphan. I don't know. You can obviously share your thoughts with me, and we'll be able to say on how best to educate each other. So now, but do I believe that indeed someone can be an orphan even when they do have a father? Well, I think that's very much true, because if not having a guide, which I'm seeing quite a lot of youths today, they they're just living life however they see it fit, whichever way they see right to them, they're taking it. Uh, Very few of our fathers in general uh, out there giving us guidance, out there giving us an education to life. Most of them are actually just with judgmental minds. You know, all they say is, "Oh, you young ones of nowadays, you're busy with this." Us when we were growing up, which I feel it's they can do better than that. Because if you are seeing a youth, an orphan that has lost their way in life, you're supposed to draw near to them and just help them. Because it's not an easy thing to be an orphan. It's it's just a very bad thing, you know. And people takes it in different ways. Others, they just feel like that's the end of their life. Others, like for me, when I lost my dad and the life that came next for me, wow, it's like I lost focus. I lost focus. It was by God's grace that I actually fought my battles, and here I am today, even being able to talk about it. But I can only imagine how uh, some lives of other orphans out there that may not be able to be exposed to a few things that I was exposed to, that may not be able to have that measure of hope, like, oh, obviously maybe someone will come and save me, maybe someone will come and just tell me that it's going to be fine. You know, I can only feel for that orphan out there. So before I go anymore uh, further, I would ask if you know one or two orphan out there, please get close to them. You may not have the money, you may not have a roof that you can actually be able to share with them, but whatever you can, please just allow God to use you to better the life of an orphan out there, because trust me, it's not an easy experience. Most of these street kids, yes, there are those that just run away from home because they know the moment I get to the streets, I'll find some good Samaritan that will give me some money, and whatever they are given, they just use that for drugs. But amongst those are just real orphans. who have been chased out of their own homes, whose property has been grabbed, and they need your help. They need my help, they need your help, they need our help, and we can do something about it. And the stats that I did share with you last week, it was just quite heartbreaking. If I can go through this quickly, we have about 34,000 orphans that are living or running away from orphanages every day. Yeah, and we have 153 million orphans around the globe. That's a sad thing. So every day we are having this number increased. God is not going to come down and say, hey, you're an orphan, so now I have come to be your father, I'm taking you to that mansion. No, God expects you and I to open up our hearts and be used by Him so that we're able to be a blessing to these orphans. Alright, so before I actually don't have much time, but let me just quickly pick up where I ended about my experience. So yes, I was out of school, and then much of my academic life has been proudly sponsored by Jesus. I'm talking about the church. Yeah, I'm so grateful to the churches that came through for me, and also some individuals that God used to be a blessing to me. So now, after all was said and done, I struggled with forgiveness. Every time I looked at my stepmother, or just at the mention of her name, I was burning because as far as I was concerned, she was the reason why I experienced a hard life as an orphan. So even after I became born again, I was still struggling. I went to church over and over, listened to different sermons. I was growing spiritually, but I still struggled with forgiveness. Not until I just opened my heart to God and said, God, I may not understand why a good woman turned out bad, but whatever reason she did what she did, well, the done cannot be undone. So help me, teach me how to forgive her and just how to love her and to embrace her, because this was also a woman at one time who was there for me genuinely. Yeah, and though it was just at some point when she just had some people with negative energy around her that made her to become something else. Yeah, so I came to forgive her, and I came to make peace. One thing about forgiveness is you set yourself free. I've heard so many people say, no, I can never forgive that person. Well, you don't forgive at your own peril, you know. There's just something that is so beautiful about forgiveness. It just brings that peace that is so unexplainable. And God just has His own special way of coming in and just taking over, and things begins to fall in place. So if you are an orphan out there who has struggled to forgive someone, please. It's yeah, it's okay to say you may not understand. Obviously, no one can understand because no one was putting on the boots that you're putting on. It's you in that pain, frustration, and all that. But forgiveness, give it a try. If you don't know where to start, just say, God, help me. I don't know how to forgive. You teach me. I want to have an experience of how life is when you forgive someone. And I can assure you that you are not going to regret. If they took away the property, there's a God who restores. And as I come to the conclusion of this episode, I just want to assure you that when God said, I know the plans I have for you to prosper you, to give you a hope and a future, He meant it. God is not like man who can have his mind changed. God is not like man who can lie. He is indeed a father to the fatherless. I'm talking to you without notes, without a written speech. This is coming from my heart because I've passed through the fire that you've passed through. And some of it, I'm still passing through it. But He who has promised is faithful. You will not be bad. But it's all entirely up to you. Allow God to work with you. Allow God to be who He has promised to be to an orphan, and that's a father. And He never fails. Don't lose hope. Don't lose your focus. God loves you. There's some orphans, I feel they need to talk about this. Even maybe right now you're out there. You hate God so much because you blame Him. Why did you take away my parents? Well, obviously I can't answer that question on behalf of God. And maybe God has already answered you, or maybe He hasn't. I don't know. He has His own ways of doing things. But even in the absence of your biological parents, there's the presence of God's parenting nature around you. Don't hate on God. Don't become so angry at God. We are living in a fallen world. We are born and we die because of sin. So open up your heart. Maybe some of you just go ahead and have that conversation with God. Talk to Him. Pour out your anger. And I believe that's how you're going to receive your healing. But for as long as you keep on holding on to your anger and all those blaming God for your parents dying, it's not going to do you any good. They are no more. You are still in this world. You can choose to work with God and rise up from the ashes of defeat to a place of triumph and become that orphan that this world has been waiting for his or her manifestation to become. this figure, this great influence that is going to just turn the world upside down for the benefit of everyone. It's all up to you. It's entirely up to you. You're still alive for a reason. You're still in this world for a purpose. So, are you going to continue crying, having a pity party every day that you're an orphan? Because trust me, out there are many orphans that are doing well. They fought their way through the challenges that came as a result of being an orphan. And today they are supporting and doing great things for other orphans. So will you allow God to use you or not? The choice is yours. We'll pick it up next week by God's grace. Until then, thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. And many thanks to my team, Gospel ShowBiz team. You guys, your love and support is amazing, and I just want to thank you. So this has been Brown Jonathan Miendeka, or you can call me JM Brown. Thank you so much. Be an orphan who will make a difference, or be that person that has parents but will choose to give support to an orphan out there. We're living in hard times. Identify an orphan and be a blessing to them. You can share your clothes, you can buy them food, whatever you can. Because together we can. Thank you so much. And God bless you. Bye-bye.